Hello and welcome to another episode of As Told by Gonzo. Thank you so much for returning. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 1997 film by Harmony Korine entitled Gummo. Gummo is a weird movie that I've had on my watch list for a while. It's a movie that's really hard to track down, and when you do track it down, it's very expensive and it's kind of rare and I guess per se like out of quote unquote out of print. But this is directed by Harmony Korine, who is one of the top indie filmmakers when I think of indie filmmakers from like the late 80s going into the early 90s. Um, Other directors I could think of is a very early David Lynch, Kevin Smith, Spike Lee, and even Richard Linklater. Gummo doesn't really have a straight quote unquote storyline, and that can be what people don't like about it, and that can be what people do really like about it. Everybody that I've talked to about this movie either hate it and they can't stand it, or they love it. There's really no in between. And essentially, what this movie is about is it takes place in this small town in Ohio. It takes place 2 years after this big tornado hit, and you learn that this town is just decrepit, and there's a lot of like homeless going around, and you follow these group of kids, these different groups of kids. Throughout that time of them trying to establish the town again, and there's just a lot of poverty and violence and just kids going around and doing whatever the hell they want. And what makes Gummo interesting is it's definitely a what would you call like a shock value kind of movie. There's a lot of like shots in this movie that are very off-putting and very unsettling. And you know what kind of movie you're kind of getting into about 10 minutes in. I won't ruin it or anything, but there's a scene like 5 to 10 minutes in that I almost shut off the movie. And that scene continues to surface throughout the movie cuz it's kind of a part of the plot. It's not like a movie that I've ever seen before. I've seen, kids, which the whole kind of people who made Gummo made kids before, and that is completely almost different from Gummo. But also at the same time, they're very similar in like the way that the whole movie is crafted, the way it's shot, that gritty kind of disgusting. You feel guilty for watching this kind of movie. Do you suggest I watch it? And I say yes and no. I mean, if you're into filmmaking, especially indie filmmaking, and you're into just really weird and almost snuff film kind of stuff, shock value stuff, then yeah, go ahead and give Gummo a watch because it's probably up your alley. But you're a person that just watches Netflix and goes to the movies and watches, the big blockbuster Avengers movie, this might not be for you. It's a very unique taste. Um, do I like this movie? I don't know. I've seen two movies that were directed by Corinne, and I've seen Spring Breakers, and I really didn't enjoy that one. But I also seen Kids, which he did not direct, but he wrote. So I kind of knew kind of what I was going into, but I've just heard rumors, and everybody says, "Oh man, if you love Kids, you're gonna love Gummo." I guess you can say that. Harmony Korine is a very interesting writer and director and producer. He's in a ton, crap load of movies that I did not know he was in. I was going through his filmography on his IMDb page, and I was just trying to see what else other work I could get a hold of that he's done or has been in. He was in Waves apparently. He was in mid '90s apparently. So um, I probably will go back and rewatch those to see if I could point him out. He's not really like a significant like a character, but he's mainly in the background. Um, he's a very interesting director. He has a voice. It's very energetic and ambitious. This movie's just shot really. I think it's shot really well. I think it's colorful at some parts. I think the most strong things that Gummo has is it is kind of artistic in a way. The best way I could explain it is you're taking something kind of dirty and gritty and disgusting and kind of making art and making it kind of poetic and beautiful at the same time. This movie shot very different ways. It uses like 8 millimeter, 35 millimeter Polaroid pictures to tell, transition shots and things like that. And it's an interesting movie that you kind of have to go into it knowing that you're not gonna get a straightforward movie. It involves a lot of not so much thinking. It's just kind of sitting back and soaking it all in. At times you're gonna think, "What am I watching?" And at other times you're gonna be like, what am I watching? But in a different way, like this is disgusting. Gumbo represents like the worst kind of society that we can be, and that kind of small town mentality that nobody really wants to go and discover. Those small towns that you just pass by going to a bigger town, or those small towns that you don't dare to lose gas in because something weird's gonna happen. And it's not so much like a horror film per se, but it's like reality. It's like this is really happening. There are towns like this that are have been destroyed by natural disasters and have never gained what they lost. So Gummo is one of the most interesting movies I've ever seen. It's definitely gonna stick with me. Do I enjoy it? I don't know. I can't really decide if I enjoyed Gummo or not. It's interesting. It kept my mind going. Um, and if you get a chance to get this DVD, it's very interesting and has like a picture montage, and it has some commentary from the director, talking about like each photo and talking about behind the scenes and how it was made, and it's very interesting stuff. But I want to know your thoughts. Leave them in the comments below. So until next time, see you later.